Welcome back to the channel, USA Coins 69, where your pocket change could turn into pure gold, figuratively speaking. If you've ever passed by a penny on the sidewalk and thought, it's just a cent, today's video might make you think twice. Because in this episode, we're diving into the surprising world of the 1981 Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny, and by the time we're done, you'll never look at a copper coin the same way again. Yes, we're talking about the Lincoln penny, a coin you've probably seen thousands of times without giving it a second glance. But here's the kicker, not all Lincoln pennies are created equal, and some of them, especially the ones from 1981 with the right mint mark and in the right condition, could be worth a staggering amount. So stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll hear the real story behind a 1981 penny that turned out to be worth an amount that will blow your mind. Now, let's set the stage. The Lincoln cent has been a staple of American coinage since 1909, created to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It replaced the Indian head cent and was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. The obverse, or front, features a portrait of Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, and for decades, the reverse carried the two stalks of wheat that gave it its nickname, the wheat penny. But wait, weren't wheat pennies only minted until 1958? That's true for standard circulation, but there's something deeper going on here. You see, while most 1981 Lincoln cents are of the more familiar, memorial, reverse type, some rare transitional varieties and minting errors blur the lines between decades and design changes. In addition, 1981 is one of those interesting years for coin collectors because it represents a critical moment in U.S. minting history, just before a major change took place. Let's break that down. By 1981, the U.S. Mint was preparing to shift from the traditional bronze composition to the cheaper zinc-based pennies we know today. The change officially happened in 1982, but leading up to that, there were test strikes, planchet transitions, and yes, even mix-ups. That means 1981 pennies struck on the wrong metal, using incorrect dies, or featuring rare mint errors could exist, and those are exactly the coins that collectors are chasing. The mint marks to watch out for in 1981 are P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and S for San Francisco. Each of these mint facilities produced millions of pennies, but it's the small number of mistakes, coins with unusual strikes, rare compositions, or misprinted features, that are worth big bucks. So what kind of errors are we talking about? One of the most sought after is the double die obverse, where the coin's design, especially the lettering like Liberty or the date, 1981, appears slightly doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. These are tough to spot without close inspection, but when you do find one, you're looking at a very rare and valuable coin. Next, we have the off-center strike, where the coin is struck off its center axis. If the date and mint mark are still visible on such a coin, it can become incredibly valuable. These visual errors are dramatic and instantly catch the eye of experienced collectors, but here's where things get really interesting: wrong planchet errors. In some rare cases, 1981 pennies were mistakenly struck on planchets meant for other coins, like dimes or foreign denominations. These coins might be thinner, lighter, or slightly smaller than a regular penny, and these are extremely rare. When authenticated, they fetch eye-watering prices at auctions. And let's not forget about proof pennies, which were struck at the San Francisco Mint with a special high-quality finish meant for collectors. These coins have mirror-like surfaces and extra sharp details. But if one of these proof pennies was accidentally released into circulation or has a striking error, its rarity multiplies. Now, all of this leads to one critical point: condition matters. A coin's grade can drastically affect its value. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, with MS, mint state, 60 and above representing uncirculated coins. If a 1981 Lincoln cent is graded MS 67 or higher, and especially if it features a rare error or unique variety, it becomes a highly desirable collector's item. And let's be honest, most people don't know this. Every day, people are walking past pennies, tossing them in jars, or ignoring them entirely, without realizing that one of those coins could be worth a small fortune. Let me tell you a real story that brings all of this to life. A hobbyist collector in the Midwest, someone who wasn't even that serious about coin collecting, was going through a roll of pennies they had saved from the 1980s. Among them was a shiny 1981 penny that looked a little off. Upon closer inspection, they noticed doubling on the word Liberty and a slight shift in the design. Curious, they sent it to be graded and authenticated by a professional numismatic service. To their surprise, not only was the coin in mint state 68 red condition, but it also featured an extremely rare double die obverse error combined with a bronze transitional planchet, a near-perfect storm of rarity, beauty, and historical significance. Word spread quickly in the coin collecting community, and soon enough, serious collectors began lining up, ready to outbid each other for this one-of-a-kind penny. When the final bid came in, it broke all expectations. That humble 1981 Lincoln wheat penny sold for a staggering $195,000. Yes, you heard that right. $195,000 for a coin that most people would have ignored. This isn't just a story about a lucky find, it's a reminder that incredible treasures can be hiding in the most unexpected places. So the next time you come across a 1981 penny, don't just toss it aside. Look closely. Check the mint mark. Inspect the details. You might be holding something truly extraordinary. Today, we're uncovering the unbelievable story behind the 1972 Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny, a coin that has gone from being pocket change to a jaw-dropping collectible worth an amount most people would never expect. Yes, we're talking about a humble penny, specifically one minted in the year 1972. You may think all modern pennies are the same, but collectors and numismatists know otherwise. When it comes to rare varieties, minting errors, and hidden gems in American coinage, 1972 holds one of the most exciting and valuable secrets. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why one of these pennies made headlines for its astonishing value. Let's go back in time to 1972, a fascinating year in U.S. history. Nixon was president, the Vietnam War was ongoing, and the American public was living through economic and political shifts that would define a generation. But in the world of coins, something very special was happening at the U.S. Mint.in that year. The Lincoln cent was produced at multiple mint facilities: Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. Most of the 1972 cents were made from a bronze composition, 95% copper and 5% zinc. Millions were struck and released into everyday circulation. And while the design remained consistent with Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back, something unusual made its way through the presses that year. We're talking about one of the most famous double die errors in U.S. coin history, and yes, it occurred in 1972. Now, if you're new to coin collecting, a double die error happens when the coin die, the tool used to stamp the image onto a coin, was engraved twice at slightly different angles. When these dies were used to strike pennies, it created a noticeable doubling of the images on the coin. And in 1972, some Lincoln cents were struck with an absolutely stunning example of this error. The most famous version is known as the 1972 double die obverse, DDO. If you look at one of these rare pennies, the doubling is incredibly clear, especially on the inscriptions. The words, "Liberty, in God we trust," and the date, 1972, appear as if they're slightly shadowed or even ghosted, two sets of letters for the price of one. And this isn't subtle, you don't even need a magnifying glass to see it in some cases. It's that dramatic. These coins weren't meant to leave the mint, but a small number did. As they were released into circulation, they sat unnoticed in people's pockets, drawers, piggy banks, and coin jars for years, until collectors began to realize just how rare and significant they were. But the double die error isn't the only thing to look for in 1972 pennies. There are also minor variations, including less dramatic double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and other fascinating minting mistakes. Any unusual feature on a coin can raise its value, especially if it's combined with excellent condition. Let's talk about condition for a moment. This is where things really start to heat up. Coin collectors use a grading scale to determine the quality of a coin, known as the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 to 70. A grade of MS 60 or higher means the coin has not been in circulation and shows no wear. But if you find a 1972 double die penny in MS 65, MS 66, or higher, it's considered extremely rare. And the higher the grade, the higher the value. A circulated 1972 double-die penny might fetch a few hundred or a few $1,000s, depending on its condition. But an uncirculated one? That's where the value climbs into the tens of thousands, or even more. Now imagine combining that double-die error with a near-flawless condition. That's the kind of coin collectors dream about. And that dream became reality for one very lucky individual. Here's the story. A coin enthusiast was going through an old collection they inherited from a grandparent. Most of it was common, nickels, dimes, quarters, but one penny stood out. It was dated 1972, and the lettering seemed off. A closer look revealed massive doubling in the word Liberty and in the date itself. This wasn't just a regular penny. It was a textbook example of a 1972 double-die obverse, and it looked like it had never been touched. The collector sent the coin to a professional grading service. It came back graded as Mint State 67 red, a nearly perfect coin with blazing copper color and minimal imperfections. The combination of a rare minting error and an impeccable grade turned this everyday-looking penny into a highly sought-after treasure. Once word got out, collectors, investors, and dealers from across the country were eager to get their hands on it. The bidding started modestly, but within hours, it skyrocketed. This wasn't just a coin, it was a piece of American minting history, preserved in mint state, and when the final gavel came down at the auction, the room erupted. That little copper coin, once worth only 1 cent, had just sold for an incredible $190,000, yes, $190,000, all for a penny that someone could have spent on candy, left on a sidewalk, or tossed in a drawer without a second thought. So what can we learn from this? Never underestimate the power of a penny. The next time you're handed change at the store, take a moment. Look at the date. Check for doubling, strange alignments, odd colors, or unusual marks. Especially if you spot 1972 on a Lincoln cent, pull it aside and examine it closely. You could be holding a small fortune right there in your hand, and who knows? You might be the next lucky collector whose spare change turns into life-changing money. Today, we're going to explore a seemingly ordinary coin that could actually be hiding extraordinary value. This is a deep dive into the story, mystery, and mind-blowing worth of the United States 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1971 with a mint mark. So sit back, grab your coin jars, and let's see if you're unknowingly holding on to a fortune. Let's rewind for just a moment and talk about the Lincoln cent. It's one of the most iconic coins in American history. Introduced in 1909 to celebrate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, the Lincoln penny was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this coin has become a symbol not only of American currency but also of American pride. But the version we're talking about today isn't just any Lincoln penny, it's from the year 1971. And that's where things get interesting. Now, in 1971, the United States Mint was producing coins in 3 main locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each location used a specific mint mark: no mark for Philadelphia, a small D for Denver, and an S for San Francisco. These tiny letters under the date may not seem like a big deal, but they can make all the difference when it comes to a coin's value. Why? Because of variations, errors, and low production numbers that can make one little penny worth far more than its face value. Let's talk about what makes the 1971 Lincoln penny so fascinating to collectors. First, the design itself stayed largely consistent from previous years, but slight changes in the die, metal composition, and striking process can result in coins that are anything but ordinary. The obverse side of the coin shows the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln facing right, with the word Liberty to his left and the year 1971 stamped boldly to the right. Below that year, depending on the mint, you'll find the tiny but all-important mint mark. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, flanked by the words United States of America and 1 cent. Sounds basic, right? But the devil, as they say, is in the details. Among collectors and coin hunters, the 1971 Lincoln penny is a coin worth paying attention to, not because it's particularly rare in general, but because certain specific versions and conditions of this coin are almost legendary in the world of numismatics. And this is where the thrill begins. First, let's talk about errors. Minting errors are like gold in the world of coin collecting. A double die, for example, is when a coin is struck twice with slight misalignment, causing a doubling effect in the text or images. For 1971, one of the most well-known varieties is the 1971 double die obverse, where collectors can see clear doubling on the words, "Liberty, in God we trust," and even the date itself. When verified and graded, these coins can sell for thousands of dollars, depending on condition. But that's not all. There are also coins that were struck off-center, meaning they weren't aligned correctly during the minting process. Others have die cracks, clipped planchets, or even transitional errors where the metal composition doesn't match what was intended for that year. Each of these flaws makes the coin unique, and in the world of coin collecting, uniqueness is king. Combine that with a rare mint mark, a pristine condition, and historical interest, and you've got a coin that serious collectors will pay big money to own. Speaking of condition, this is something that dramatically affects the value of any coin. Grading agencies like PCGS or NGC evaluate coins based on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS 60 is considered uncirculated but may have marks or blemishes, while a coin graded MS 65 or higher is considered gem quality. Now imagine a 1971 penny, already rare due to an error or special feature, that's also in mint state condition, no scratches, no discoloration, perfect luster. That's the type of coin collectors dream about. And that's the type of coin that's gone for eye-watering amounts at auctions. Now, you might be wondering, what about the mint mark specifically? Is one more valuable than the others? Generally, coins with the S mint mark, struck in San Francisco, were produced in lower numbers and often have a higher chance of being proof coins or having collectible errors. But even a D mint mark from Denver can skyrocket in value under the right circumstances. There are even stories of small variations in the mint mark itself, a tilted S or a repunched D, that drive up value dramatically. It's truly incredible how much detail goes into identifying a rare penny. Of course, finding one of these rare pennies isn't as simple as reaching into your pocket change, although stranger things have happened. In fact, there are people, some might call them hobbyists, others call them treasure hunters, who spend hours every week sifting through bags of pennies from the bank, searching for that one special coin. And believe it or not, some of them find it. Because those coins are out there. It could be in a dusty jar in your attic, or mixed in with a handful of change from a garage sale. The idea that something so small, so overlooked, could be hiding in plain sight, and be worth a small fortune, is what keeps collectors on the hunt. So why does all this matter? Why should you care about a 1-cent coin from over 50 years ago? Because this isn't just about money. It's about history, craftsmanship, and the thrill of discovery. It's about realizing that sometimes, the most valuable things are the ones we least expect. And when it comes to coins, it proves that attention to detail can really pay off. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just someone who enjoys a good mystery, the world of rare pennies is full of surprises. Now, if you've stuck with us this long, you're probably wondering, what's the real value of a 1971 Lincoln penny with a mint mark? Especially one with a rare error, in perfect mint state condition, certified and graded? Well, here it is. Believe it or not, one such penny has sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $105,000. Today, we're diving into one of the most underrated yet fascinating coins in American numismatic history. We're talking about the United States 1-cent coin, specifically, the Lincoln wheat penny from the year 1963, complete with its tiny but powerful mint mark. And believe me when I say, this is not your average penny. Now, some of you might be wondering, why 1963? It's not a year that usually jumps out when talking about extremely old coins, and it's not during a war or a major coin design shift, so what's so special? Well, get ready, because what seems ordinary at first glance turns out to be a story filled with rare details, secret variations, and a surprise ending that could knock your socks off. So if you've got a jar of old coins lying around, you might want to dig through it by the time we finish. You never know what you might find. Let's take a walk back through time. In 1963, the United States was in a time of transition. John F. Kennedy was president. The civil rights movement was gaining ground. The nation was entering a new phase of history. In this changing America, the humble penny continued to be a part of daily life, used in school lunches, phone booths, newspaper stands, and everyday purchases. It was everywhere. And yet, among the millions produced that year, a small number were destined to become legends. The Lincoln cent itself had already been in circulation for over 50 years by 1963. First introduced in 1909 to celebrate the centennial of President Abraham Lincoln's birth, the coin was the first U.S. currency to ever feature a real person's face. Designed by the skilled artist Victor David Brenner, the obverse side of the coin proudly displays a right-facing bust of Lincoln. It's become one of the most recognized coin designs in the world, and over time, it's evolved. But in 1963, something interesting was happening. You see, the reverse of the Lincoln penny was still the classic wheat ears design. Two curved stalks of wheat framed the words, 1 cent, and United States of America, with E pluribus unum arched above. This wheatback style, often called the wheat penny, was in its final years. In 1959, the reverse officially changed to the Lincoln Memorial design to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. But hold on, didn't we just say the 1963 penny was a wheat penny? That's where things get fascinating. The standard 1963 penny should show the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But some ultra-rare errors or transitional strikes exist that accidentally feature the old wheat ears design. How? During transitions between design dies, the mint sometimes makes mistakes, mixing the wrong reverse with the new obverse. These accidental blends are what collectors live for. A 1963 penny with the wrong reverse? Now that's rare. That's where things start heating up. Now let's talk about mint marks. Mint marks are tiny letters placed below the date on the coin. In 1963, the United States Mint operated three major facilities that produced pennies: Philadelphia, which traditionally didn't use a mint mark; Denver, which used a small d; and San Francisco, which at that point was primarily producing proof coins, marked with an S. While millions of pennies were minted that year, the devil, as always, is in the details. Some 1963 D and 1963 S coins contain subtle errors that most people overlook. But collectors? They're watching closely. Some 1963 pennies have been found with what's known as a double die error, particularly on the obverse. This means the die used to strike the coin was misaligned slightly between impressions, causing a doubling effect on the lettering, the date, or even Lincoln's profile. Imagine the word Liberty or the numbers 1963 looking slightly shadowed or repeated. That's a double die, and depending on its clarity and condition, it can transform a common penny into a highly valuable collectible. There are also minting issues like repunched mint marks, where the D or S was punched twice, and the earlier, misaligned strike still shows faintly beneath or beside the final mark. Or off-center strikes, where the coin wasn't aligned properly during minting and part of the design is missing or pushed to the edge. These are real errors that actually occurred, and collectors are always hunting for them. Let's not forget about planchet errors, too. Occasionally, coins are struck on the wrong metal blanks, especially during times when the mint is switching materials or dies. Imagine finding a 1963 penny that was mistakenly struck on a silver dime blank, or one that has a smooth, unreeded edge but a heavier weight. These oddities can send a coin's value through the roof. So what's the big deal with condition? It's everything. A 1963 Lincoln penny found in your change jar may only be worth a few cents if it's worn and circulated. But the same coin in mint state condition, meaning uncirculated, clean, and shiny, can be worth significantly more. And if it has one of the errors we just mentioned? That's when things start to get exciting. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale. The higher the number, the better the condition. Coins graded MS-65 or above, especially with rare errors, are highly sought after by collectors and auction houses alike. The exciting part is that these coins can still be found. They're out there, hidden in drawers, piggy banks, coin rolls, and collections passed down through generations. You don't have to be a millionaire to find one. All it takes is a little knowledge, a sharp eye, and the curiosity to look closer at what most people ignore. And here's something else to keep in mind: authentication. If you ever think you found a rare 1963 Lincoln penny, the best thing you can do is have it evaluated by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll examine the coin under magnification, verify its authenticity, and assign it a grade. With that certificate in hand, your coin becomes a verified piece of numismatic history, and its value skyrockets. So, let's circle back. You may be holding a penny from 1963 and wondering, could it be special? Could it be rare? Could it be valuable? The answer is yes. With the right error, the right mint mark, and the right condition, a 1963 Lincoln penny could be more than just a coin. It could be a once-in-a-lifetime find, and now, the moment you've been waiting for. You've listened to the history, the mystery, and the hidden secrets of this incredible coin. So just how much could one of these rare 1963 Lincoln pennies be worth if it checks all the right boxes: error, rarity, condition, and collector demand? Well, believe it or not, one of these special pennies has sold for an astonishing $130,000. Yes, you heard that right. A coin with a face value of 1 cent, worth $130,000. If that doesn't make you want to start searching through every penny in your house, I don't know what will. Today's video is going to flip that idea on its head. Because what if I told you that a 1-cent coin, yes, a penny, sitting in your drawer, pocket, or piggy bank, could actually be worth more than most luxury cars, more than some houses, and yes, more than your entire savings account? Today, we're diving deep into the mysterious, overlooked, and surprisingly rare United States 1-cent coin, the Lincoln penny from the year 1975. Don't let the year fool you. At first glance, it may seem like an ordinary coin from a fairly recent time. But hidden among the millions that were produced, there are a few extremely special versions that collectors would do just about anything to get their hands on. Let's start with a bit of background. The Lincoln cent is more than just a coin, it's a symbol of American history, culture, and resilience. Introduced in 1909, the Lincoln penny was the first American coin to ever feature a real person, and who better than President Abraham Lincoln? His face on the obverse became iconic. For over a century, Americans have handled these coins every day, often without thinking about the story they carry. Fast forward to 1975. It was a year full of change. The Vietnam War was coming to a close. America was adjusting after the Watergate scandal. Technology was accelerating. And while all of that was happening, the U.S. Mint was quietly producing pennies, millions of them, each with a small mint mark stamped just below the date. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but what makes the 1975 Lincoln penny so special? The design hadn't changed drastically. Lincoln's profile still faced right. "In God We Trust" curved along the top. "Liberty" sat to the left. The date, 1975, was clearly stamped on the right. And depending on where the coin was made, you might find a small D for Denver, or no mint mark at all for Philadelphia. San Francisco was still producing proof coins, marked with a delicate S. But here's the twist: even though the design was consistent, the minting process had its flaws, and those flaws are pure gold for collectors. You see, not every coin comes out of the mint perfectly. And when mistakes happen, collectors take notice. Sometimes the coins are struck multiple times in error, causing doubling effects known as double dies. These can be seen in the lettering or the date, where letters appear blurred or shadowed. Other times, the coin is misaligned and part of the design is off-center. Occasionally, a mint mark is punched in the wrong spot, or even punched more than once, resulting in a repunched mint mark. Some of the most intriguing coins are the ones struck on the wrong metal planchet, meaning they look, feel, and weigh differently from normal, and here's something fascinating. During the mid-70s, the US Mint was experimenting and transitioning between different coin compositions and die varieties. While most 1975 pennies were made of copper and zinc, a few may have been struck using leftover blanks from previous years or struck with mismatched dies, leading to oddities and anomalies. These are the kind of coins that fuel fierce bidding wars among collectors. Now, let's talk about rarity. Most 1975 pennies are common. They were mass-produced. You can find them in jars, old cash registers, and forgotten boxes in the attic. But the rare ones? Those are the coins struck in error, preserved in pristine condition, or created under strange and unusual minting circumstances. And out of the millions produced that year, only a tiny fraction fall into that category. Imagine holding a coin that looks almost identical to any other penny, but with a tiny error in the mint mark, or a subtle doubling on the date. Maybe it's off-center, or it has a ghostly shadow of Lincoln's profile overlapping itself. These small features may seem insignificant, but to an experienced collector, they scream rarity and value. Condition is absolutely key. A heavily circulated coin with nicks and scratches won't attract much attention. But a coin that's been preserved since 1975, untouched by time, never entering circulation, and kept in mint state, now that's something. Coin graders use a scale from 1 to 70. A grade of MS 65 or above is considered gem quality. Add that kind of condition to an error coin, and you're not just looking at a nice collectible, you're looking at a jackpot. Some 1975 pennies have made waves in the numismatic community due to these exact combinations of error and condition. One particularly interesting phenomenon from that year involves double die obverse, where the lettering on the front of the coin shows unmistakable signs of doubling. The date might appear to be slightly shadowed. The letters in Liberty or In God We Trust might seem to blur or stretch. If you spot one of those, don't dismiss it. It could be one of the most valuable coins of the decade. And what about proof coins from San Francisco? Proof coins are special editions made with higher quality strikes and polished dies. They're not meant for circulation. But if one of these was accidentally released into the wild, or if one features a minting error, its rarity skyrockets. Sometimes a proof coin will be missing its S mint mark altogether. That kind of error? It's like a lottery ticket hiding in plain sight. The amazing thing is, most people never take the time to look closely. How many of us have handled pennies without glancing twice? But once you know what to look for, the mint mark, the condition, the fine details, it becomes a treasure hunt. It becomes addicting. And it becomes very, very rewarding that there's a thriving community of collectors out there. They share tips, trade coins, hunt through bank rolls, attend auctions, and spend hours researching. Some have even made life-changing discoveries from old coins passed down by grandparents, forgotten in shoeboxes. All it takes is one penny with the right features, to turn an ordinary day into an extraordinary one. So what should you do if you think you found a rare 1975 Lincoln penny? First, don't clean it. Never polish or scrub a coin, it lowers its value. Second, handle it carefully by the edges and store it in a soft coin flip or holder. Then, get it professionally evaluated by a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll give you a verified grade and confirm any errors or rare features. That little piece of paper they give you afterward? It could be the key to unlocking your coin's full value. And now, we've reached the part of the video you've been waiting for. We've walked through the history, the hidden minting secrets, the mysterious errors, and the incredible value of mint state coins. You're probably wondering, how much could one of these pennies actually be worth? How much could a rare, error-filled, beautifully preserved 1975 Lincoln penny with a mint mark command on the open market? Well, believe it or not, one of these extraordinary 1975 Lincoln pennies has been sold for the breathtaking sum of $150,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. 1 cent. One coin. $150,000. So before you walk past another penny on the sidewalk or toss one into a jar and forget about it, take a moment to look. That tiny copper coin might just be your golden ticket. thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of the 1975 Lincoln penny. If this video inspired you to start hunting through your old coins, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next rare coin revelation. Until next time, keep your eyes open, your magnifying glass handy, and as always, happy collecting.